I always remind everybody that part of the sanctions against Russia, many of them, are European sanctions that we can't lift if that's ever to be part of a deal. So they're going to have to be involved no matter what. It's their continent. This is happening on the continent of Europe, and so obviously European powers will care deeply about what happens. So they have a stake in this, and we recognize it. And but in the end, I think we all want the same thing. I think from the U.S. perspective, we've spent 3 years, billions of dollars, supporting the Ukrainian side, and but now we've reached a point where we have other things we have to focus on. We're prepared to be engaged in this as long as it takes, but not indefinitely, not without progress. If this is not possible, we're going to need to move on. I think the president feels strongly that we've dedicated we've done more in 80 days than Biden ever did to bring this war to an end. So we've dedicated almost the entirety of the president's first 100 days in office at the highest levels possible to trying to achieve a peace here. And if it's going to happen, we want to help. But if it's not going to happen, we need to know now, because we have other things we have to deal with.
Mr. Secretary, James from Fox News. In terms of your discussions with Foreign Minister Lavrov yesterday, what gave you the indication that he's also willing to move forward, given they hadn't accepted the framework of the ceasefire already, in terms of now, from your discussions, why you feel that we...
Well, look, I spoke to Minister Lavrov yesterday because when we have these kinds of meetings, it's important for you to communicate to the other side. Otherwise, you know, they don't know what happened. Now they're relying on rumors or whatever's out there. So I spoke to him very directly. I said, we had a meeting today with the Ukrainians. We proposed an outline. We didn't go into specificity about it, but I think he has an understanding of some of the elements of it. I'm sure he does. I said we thought it was constructive. We thought it was positive. Nobody rejected anything. Nobody got up from the table and walked away. They're going to go back to their capital, spend a few days mulling over it, come back to us early next week. And also wanted him to know that the French and the British and the Germans were very constructive and helpful. That was the gist of the conversation. And I think it's important when you're dealing with things like this, especially with the Russians, who we just haven't communicated with for 3.5 years. I think it's important that that communication happen. And likewise, when we've had meetings with Russians in the past, or when where Ambassador Witkoff has traveled to meet with Putin, we've informed the Ukrainian side of what happened, so that we don't have a breakdown in trust and things of that nature.